Welcome to the Bet Leveling Show. I am Alan. I'll be hosting our NBA slate for tonight. We got a good 5-game slate, some great player props, great insights, and some great games. Can't wait to dive into it with you guys. And honestly, let's just get started. What are we waiting for? Let's jump into it. Before we go into the picks and the insights for the games tonight, let's go over some recaps. We have some great NFL cashes from yesterday. We have some great NBA props and plays, parlays that we cashed out on. And then we also have some great NBA spread money lines that we cashed out on as well. Again, if you guys want to see the picks and see exactly what we're playing every single day, join the Discord. It is completely free. We are free. We don't charge people to join the Discord. We give every play that we have, me and Garrick included. We run the Discord and we have all the plays going out for you guys at all times. All the insights, the picks, and everything as well. If you guys have some great picks and plays, go ahead and post in the Discord as well. We'd love to hear your insights as well. But just know, we are going up. We are winning. We are going right now at 22 plus units on the month, and we continue to rise up and continue to keep that momentum going. So with that being said, let's just jump into the slate for tonight. I know you guys been waiting. I know you guys want it. So let's jump into the slate. The first slate we have tonight is the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics. Celtics are at home. Now, let's check this out. The last 5 games for Miami, they have lost 4 out of their last 5. They just beat the Brooklyn Nets from last night. So they are on a back-to-back today. And the Boston Celtics have lost their last 2, but won the 3 games prior to that. So they're coming off of 2 losses. Miami's coming off of 1 win back-to-back. So let's check the numbers. So we got the money line sitting at plus 220 for the Miami Heat, minus 255 for the Celtics. And I don't hate that at all. I just can't see the Celtics not winning against the Miami Heat, especially with 2 L's back-to-back. They're back at home. Miami Heat still trying to figure things out. I can definitely see them winning and taking this game away. Now, the money line is a little juice for me, but if you pair it with something nice, I think it'll be a good payout for you as well. But you guys know me. At the end of the day, I love to follow the money. The spread sitting at Miami 6.5, over under 231.5. So not a high scoring game, not a really low scoring game whatsoever, but definitely something to keep in mind. But again, let's follow the money. So right now we sitting at Boston. 79% on the money is on Boston. That makes complete sense. With them being the favorite, minus 255, nothing crazy that Vegas has to pay out, but it is definitely something that I do also agree with the public here when it comes down to Boston winning. I do not see them losing. Now, the one interesting part about all of this is that they do see Miami covering that plus 6.5 spread. The public is on 63% is on the Miami Heat to cover that spread at 6.5. This is where I would probably start to, look around here. I think Boston can win. I don't know about the 6.5. I do think they can win. My favorite play for this would most likely be Boston, maybe 2.5 to minus 3. I think they win by at least a 3-pointer or more in this game. So that's where I would really love to stick around, and that would be my pick for this game. And then, again, we also like to dive deep into the total on this. So right now we have the total on this game is under 231.5. 74% of the public is on the under. You guys know what that means. I like to see high scoring. And that's not saying that they can't happen to go under, but whenever I see a 74% money on the under or even 74% on the money on the over, that's where I'm like, okay, that's where I like to see. That's what I like to see. So I do think this game might be a high-scoring game. I think, with the Celtics having a good couple days of rest and also playing at home, I think they start hitting their shots. It might be a high-scoring here. And then also, again, Miami's on a back-to-back. They may have that momentum from their win on going to the Celtics. I know they traveled last night or this morning or today to go over to Boston. But I don't think they take away that momentum. These guys are professionals. They do this for a living. So, if they come off a win, they have good momentum going into the game today. I think they can hit some great shots. And, whenever the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics play, it's always a pretty good game, high scoring. Everyone's shooting threes and hitting threes. Tyler Hero usually does his thing as well. So it'll be a very interesting game, but I will say my favorite prop for this game tonight is going to be Boston minus 2.5 or minus 3 if you want to get a little bit ballsier. That's my favorite prop for this game. And the next game we have is the 76ers versus the New York Knicks. Now, the New York Knicks are coming off a back-to-back. They just played as well last night against the Pacers, and they just beat the Pacers as well. They are on a winning streak, I believe a 7 to 8, maybe 9 game winning streak as well. So the Knicks have not lost. They are back home. 76ers has a pretty full roster as well, with Paul George coming back. I believe Embiid is still kind of questionable, but he may play. And they're coming off of a loss not back to back, but a couple days ago from the Atlanta Hawks. So they've had a good 4 to 5 days of rest here. So the 76ers are coming off pretty healthy and ready to go. So the only thing that makes me kind of worried with the Knicks is that the Knicks are coming off of NBA Cup. They played last night, and then they had to travel back home as well. So this is the only thing that makes me kind of worried or hesitant about the Knicks for today. I do see them as the favorites at minus 170, but with all the traveling, the back-to-back games, the celebrations from the NBA Cup, they could be a little tired on tired legs, which gives a little bit of an edge, in my opinion, for the 76ers. But again, let's follow the money. I like to follow that, right? So right now we have the 76ers are not the favorites, of course. In fact, most of the money is on the Knicks. 61% of the money is on the Knicks. The Philadelphia 76ers is 85% to cover. 85% to cover that 4.5. Now, I will say with the updated lines, this was what it was earlier, but now the lines have jumped up to the 76ers to cover 6.5 for some books, even 5.5 for others. So it has raised. So that tells me that the Knicks may have a little bit of an edge here when it comes down to it. So that's something to keep in mind. And then the total is 50-50. It's 50-50. So this game could be low scoring, could be high scoring, not too sure. I would honestly lead a little bit more under just because of the Knicks' back-to-back, again with the Cup. They just played the Pacers last night. They have to travel back to New York. And then the 76ers I feel like they just can't get their shit together. I mean, Embiid plays off and on, doesn't usually play, back-to-back games. Paul George, he likes to do more podcasts than he likes to play games, so there's not really much chemistry. Maxey has to hold down the entire team. VJ Edgecombe is doing his thing as a rookie, and then Jared McCain is back as well. So, I mean, they have good people, but I just don't think they've built enough chemistry to really last long and gain momentum within the league. So I do kind of steer the Knicks in this as well, and especially seeing the lines move as much as they have been, I think I might double down on the Knicks money line. So a good two-leg could be the Celtics and Knicks, both money line play. That's probably my two favorite plays right there. I'm going to stay away from the Knicks spread. I do think the 76ers could cover if it continues to raise up. Who knows? But I think I'm going to stick with the New York Knicks money line here. Now, let's jump into the next game here. The next game we have the San Antonio Spurs against the Atlanta Hawks. Now, the Atlanta Hawks are coming off of a loss here, I believe it is, and the San Antonio Spurs are coming off of a W. So, one of the things is to keep in mind, the Spurs are playing on a back-to-back. They have just played Washington, and they're 4 out of 5 of their last games. So, the San Antonio Spurs are going on a tear, and the game that they lost, of course, was the NBA Cup. So, makes sense, right? The Atlanta Hawks, again, yes, they have lost their last game. The last game they played was against the Charlotte Hornets in Charlotte. I should have went to that game, me staying in Charlotte and whatnot, but I missed that there. And it was a great game, high scoring. Jalen Johnson almost got his triple-double, 45-plus points last night as well. So, the Atlanta Hawks are on a back-to-back. They had to travel to Atlanta as well to play this game today. And also the Spurs are on a back-to-back. So both teams traveled, both teams back-to-back. So when it comes down to this high total, I'm guessing it's going to most likely be a pretty under game just because of all the traveling and all of the, all of the back-to-back slates, So that's one of the things I will keep in mind. But again, let's follow the money because the money is really the determining factor in this, right? So as you guys can see, Spurs are the favorites in this game. Minus 140. Atlanta Hawks are plus 125. And then we have the spread at 2.5. Plus 2.5, for the Hawks. This is going to be a very close game, in my opinion. I think if Trae Young plays, if Trae Young plays, I think that it's going to be pretty close as well. But if Trae Young doesn't play, I can see the spread moving a little bit here. Now, let's see where the money's at. So we have 57% of the money on the Spurs. I don't hate that. We have another podcast, or I do another podcast called Taste the Game when it comes down to NFL plays. And one of the things I talk about on there is that, if there's a spread or a money line between 50 to 60%, I'm not mad at that, right? Because that 50 to 60%, doesn't really tinker on, because Vegas can, even if it's 57% or 58% and it goes the way of Vegas, it's not bad, because one, it's minus odds, and then two, they can make their money off of player props. So, right now the money line on the Spurs are minus, 140 with 57% of the public on there. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. They have great momentum, great players doing their thing. Victor Wembanyama is picking his minutes back up from his injury. So I can't see them not hitting that. And then we have right now 51% of the money on the Spurs to cover their spread. So basically minus 2.5 to cover that. And then, the total is look like the public is on the under. So I agree with the public here. 62% of the money is on the under, which does scare me a little bit, because when I see over 60% on something, that's where I kind of start wanting to get a little curious here and wanted to go against the public. But I think I might just stay away from the total all in all and stick with just the money line. So right now, a lot of the favorites that I see, I do like a lot, but we could see what happens. So I think the Spurs are going to win and take this game here. You guys tell me what you think below. But let's go into the next game. We got the Bulls versus the Cavaliers. We do have Evan Mobley out tonight against the Bulls. But this game, honestly, I feel like this is a pretty easy game to figure out here. With the Cavaliers, just gaining momentum, even though they've had like a lot of players out as of late. Actually, matter of fact, they haven't been gaining momentum at all. Looking at it, they are 3 for 5 in the last 5 games, and then the Bulls are also 3 of 5 in the last 5 games. Now, the one thing with the Bulls is they did just win against the Cavs 2 days ago when they played in Chicago, but now they're playing in Cleveland. And they were the big underdogs for this game as well, and they ended up winning. And they are also the underdogs in this game. But the one thing that can change here is the fact that Cleveland's at home. They have that, the atmosphere in Cleveland. They have the momentum. They lost their last 2. I don't see Cleveland losing again. So that's where I would really kind of steer clear. But again, let's follow the money. Where's the money at? The money is at money line. 60% of the money is on Cleveland. That's pretty interesting. I thought a lot of people would hammer the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I guess they may think that the Bulls can cover again like they did last game. And then we have the spread. 60% of the money is on Cleveland to cover the spread. And then we have 69%, almost 70% of the game going over in this game here. So over that 240. So where I would really stick to is this game. I do think Cleveland's going to win. Cleveland's going to win, minus 275, and then I also like the under in this game. Not saying the under is impossible to hit, but with it being 240.5, I just, and especially they just lost against them before, I think they're going to double down on defense. I think they're going to make sure that nothing can get them close again. I do think the Bulls can, keep up, but I think Cleveland has a little chip on their shoulder, and I think they come out swinging. So it might have a lot of blowout potential, and if it is blowout potential, I can see it sticking to the under for sure. So I do like the under in this game, and I do like Cleveland to take it and to win. So that's the Cleveland game, and then we come to the last game here with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Oklahoma City Thunder are, of course, the big favorites here. There's just not much to say. They've only lost 2 games this entire year, so it makes complete sense. Minus 315 is too much juice for me to take. But, I mean, if you pair it with something, maybe a Oklahoma City and a Cavs and a Knicks money line, you could get some good odds there. Maybe an all favorites kind of day. I think this might be an all favorites kind of day. I don't really see much upsets. If I were to see an upset, it would be in the spread aspect of it, but I just can't see really any underdogs tonight winning. Maybe if I were to really guess an underdogs winning, maybe Atlanta Hawks. But that's about it. And then I can also see the 76ers as well with upsetting the Knicks tonight just because of all the back-to-back stuff. The Knicks have had a lot going on. So those are the really 2 upsets. But other than that, I do like a lot of the favorites on tonight's slate. But let's dive into the numbers. So as you guys can see, Oklahoma City minus 315. Minnesota is plus 260. The spread is minus 7.5, which isn't bad. I mean, I see some apps favoring it -6.5, around maybe -6. So they do think, the lines continue to move and show that the Minnesota could maybe potentially keep up here. And I don't hate that. I mean, if Anthony Edwards comes back, I can see a nuclear night from Anthony Edwards. So I don't hate that in the slightest. But again, we got to follow the money. So right now, the money we do have Oklahoma City at 80% of the money on there, which it wouldn't really be crazy of a payout for Vegas to pay that out, right? Because if 80% of people are on a -315 money line, there's not really much to pay out there. And then we have the spread at 73% of the public is going towards the Minnesota Timberwolves. So they have 70% of the public does think that the Minnesota Timberwolves can keep this game under 8 points or less. So I do want to put eyes there. And then 84 to 85% of the money is over the total. So over that 231.5. So that is something to keep in mind as well. This could potentially be an Oklahoma City covering, I would say, -4.5, -5. So I do think the Oklahoma City Thunder could win by 5 or more. And then I do think this game does stay under. I think if Oklahoma City, they are coming back from, they're coming from a back-to-back. They just played the Clippers last night. Minnesota played a couple days ago, losing to Memphis in a, 6 in their last game. But they won a couple games before that, so that's something to keep in mind. But again, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. I know they just saw the team that beat them go to the NBA Cup. They may come with a little bit of vengeance. Who knows? And then they just beat the Clippers by 21 points. So I think they can keep that momentum, win by more than 4 or 5. I think they could cover, but I might want to do an alternate line a little bit, maybe -4.5 for the Oklahoma City Thunder just to be a little bit safe. But I do think Oklahoma City Thunder takes this game, and I would honestly look at the under for this just because 85% of the money on the over is crazy. That's where I kind of put question marks in my mind. I might want to fade that there. So those are my greatest plays here. Let's dive into my favorite player props on the game, on the slate, on the tonight's slate for the NBA. And then after that, I'll let you guys decide what you want to do. Here, let's just jump into it. So I got a 5-legger pick for you guys today. The 5-leggers, I know you guys, if you've been watching a couple of the previous videos, I have mentioned and said that I do not like doing anything more than 4 legs. But this game, in this slate right here, I decided to do a little bit more just because I like to give out, a 5X, 6X or more, just so you guys can make some profit or move around plays or take off or add, whatever you guys like to do. But these are my favorite 5 player props of tonight's slate. But let's dive into it. So we have Tyrese Maxey, Kel'el Ware, Kobe White, Jared Allen, and Victor Wembanyama. Wembanyama on points, Jared Allen and Kobe White both to hit their rebounds. Kel'el Ware to hit points plus their rebounds, and then Tyrese Maxey to hit over 25 points. Let's dive deep in exactly why I picked these plays here. I know a lot of times when it comes down to it, we want to see the backup. What's the reason? What's the back end? What does the last couple games look like? Well, here it is. So we have the Kel'el Ware. I know this says 19.5. I will say when I was putting in the player prop, the Prize Picks did have this at 19.5. But when I played the prop, it moved it to 20.5. So that was one thing to keep in mind. If you guys can find a better player prop here with 19.5 or even 18.5, I'd recommend playing that. But I can see him still hitting this line. This man has a 78% clip. He's hit this line 7 out of his last 9 games, and I do think they are favoring it up for a reason. That's why they moved it from 19.5 to 20.5 while I was recording this video. So something to keep in mind. I do like the 20.5 as well, so I don't hate it in the slightest. But as you guys can see, this man has great momentum on that. The Celtics doesn't really have a crazy big, massive center or power forward. I mean, Jordan Walsh is doing his thing and he's starting. But I think Kel'el Ware can really out-rebound Jordan Walsh, play his good minutes, get his good time, and really do his thing when it comes down to that. So next, let's jump into Wemby. So we do have Wemby hitting this 17.5 over 80% of the time. He had 15 points last game, but that's only because of minutes restriction. I think he started 3 minutes, 8 minutes into the second half or second quarter yesterday. He didn't play the entire first and barely played the last bit of the second half yesterday. So that really just has to do with minutes, and even in those minutes, he got up to 15 points. Tonight, I'm expecting him to have a lot more minutes, especially against the Hawks, just because the Hawks are going to be a lot more competitive a game. So I can understand completely why the Washington Wizards didn't, or they didn't want to play him against the Washington Wizards, just because I mean, they were going to win, right? They're not the best. So I do think he starts. I do think he gets a lot more minutes here. And 17 and a half isn't a lot to ask for. I think they have now moved the line to about 18 and a half or even 18 even. I still like it. I think he can honestly get around 20 to 20 plus points today. That's probably where the highest I'll go. If I see anything like 21, I'll probably stay away. But I do like anything between 17 and a half to 20 points. I think he hits 20 tonight. Just the matchup is there and it's perfect. So the next player we have is Tyrese Maxey, right? We have 60% of him hitting this 25 or more. He hit it in his last game against the Lakers. He didn't do as well against Milwaukee, but before that, he's hit this line 3 times. Maxey is one of the best players in the league right now, best players on the 76ers, and I know they got Paul George back and got a couple rookies back and a couple people from injury, but I do think Maxey continues to lead the team in scoring, right? So I don't hate this play at all. One of my favorites, so I think he keeps his momentum. Let me know if you guys like this play or not. Let me know if you're tailing or you're going to be fading. So let me know down below. And then lastly, we have Kobe White. So Kobe White over that 2.5. Again, this is one of the ones that I followed the public here on. And I was just curious. I said, why are people on the 2.5? And this is the reason why. He's hit it over 4 or 5, rebounds in those last 3 games. Even before that, he hit 1, and then after that, he hit 3 again. So I can completely understand why a lot of people are on this. I looked at the data, don't hate it at all. 70% clip for hitting 3 rebounds every game, and especially with this expected to be a pretty high scoring or mid scoring, I believe. I do think he can grab some boards here. So I do like him getting 3. I'm going to play that. And then last but not least, we have Jared Allen over 6.5 rebounds. So I kind of juiced this line, I juiced this line here to put it at 6.5. The reason why is because, a lot of apps are favoring it around 8.5, even pushed it to 9. PrizePicks pushed it to 9. But when I was looking at the props, he barely hit that 9. He barely hit that 8.5. So I like to be extra safe. I wanted to put it at 6.5, and that's where he has it at a 50% clip. So that's my safe play there. To throw it in there. I only have this because one, with the Cavaliers and the Bulls don't really have a crazy great center. I mean, Vucevic does really good with rebounds, don't get me wrong, but it's not anyone big that's going to block out Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen can box out Vucevic and any other center they may have down low, and I think he can get a lot more boards and rebounds. So that's the reason why. And then also, if this is a low-scoring game because of the team back-to-back and traveling and things of that nature, a lot of shots are going to be taken up, but if they're missing, someone's going to have to grab the boards, and I think Jared Allen will be in the place of doing that. So I really do like the Jared Allen at 6.5, maybe even 7.5. I do like maybe 8 boards, but anything over that than that can get sweaty. Just because a lot of apps are favoring him to go under a double-double or even under 9 rebounds and boards. But I do think that's one of the places where I want to fade what the books are saying a little bit. It could bite me in the ass later, but I honestly do want to, kind of juice this line here, keep it at 6.5. So, those are my plays for the day. Let me know again below if you guys going to fail or if you're going to tail or not. Just let me know if you guys want to take someone out. Let me know who it is. I would love to hear, the plays that you guys are going to do. Again, follow me on X at Live to Amuse. And lastly, check out Garrett Wilson's plays and picks for this weekend for his college plays. NFL plays are coming on Sunday, and then more NBA plays and picks to come. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope this helps you guys pick out your plays and your decide on what things you want to do for tonight. And if you cash on any of these slips, go ahead and at me at Live to Amuse and let me know how it was. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Can't wait to continue this momentum going, and let's get it. Later.